You're listening to From a Certain Point of Skew, the only Star Wars podcast to be right about the names of characters, planets, vehicles, predictions, and speculations exactly 60% of the time. Yeah.
You did good pauses there. Good job.
I thought you were going to respond. So I am one of the two hosts here on the Fact Push show, Jason the Angry Ginger. What is it? On this show, I'm Jason the Angry Ginger Jedi guy. Got to add that. Broadcasting live from inside these Wookiee Poo studios. And one of the things that's inside of the Wookiee Poo studios is Matt on a monitor. So you're here, but you're not.
Yes. And I think I said this last week, but looking at your setup behind you, I really need to up my game. It just, every time you know what I have behind me? Can you see it? I got a stack of tires.
You have tires in your basement? Oh, you do. They're wrapped in plastic. You got laminated tires.
Yes. We had to swap the all-season tires on for the winter tires. And I haven't had a chance to put them. There's a door over here that goes underneath the garage. And I haven't had a chance to put it away, and I just realized, I'm like, look at my freaking room. This is no studio.
I was going to say, you're in it's a nice guest room, and it looks like the covers are disheveled. Did you wake up late? Were you in the doghouse today? What's going on here?
Sometimes I sleep down here, so I just haven't made the bed.
Okay. You are literally one of those men in their fucking 40s.
Yes.
In their basement podcasting about Star Wars.
I'm married with children and I live and I podcast out of my basement. Yes, exactly.
Your bedroom. Because I podcast out of my basement. My studio's in the basement, but like you're in your bedroom.
Call me Matt Zero. All right. Well, a quick programming note just before I forget. We will be off next week. I'm going to be on vacation, and so we're just not going to be able to record. So we will come back and do a couple episode review of The Bad Batch the following week. So I'll probably send out a question of the week on Monday, but it'll be a question of the fortnight, if you will. Okay. And if you would like to find our show, from a certain point of skew.com or on Twitter at FACPApod, you can email facpapod@gmail.com. We are doing a giveaway. Please respond to our questions of the week. Send us emails, voicemails, write a review, send us a story for our May the 4th planned Fact Story episode, and you will get a chance to win some cool old school Kenner figures. And you know what? I'm going to play, speaking of the Fact Stories, I'm going to play that ad right now.
Greetings, Galaxy Far, Far Away enthusiasts. Do you find yourself staring into the twin suns, dreaming of untold stories in the Star Wars universe? Well, grab your bantha milk and toss in a spot of spotchka and cozy up to your holo transmitter, because From a Certain Point of Skew is making a Kessel Run into your auditory canals.
Ever wondered if that one Jawa who sold R2-D2 and C-3PO had a name? Or what adventures the Mos Eisley Cantina band members get up to when they're not playing the same song over and over? We're looking at you, Figrin' Dan and the modal nodes.
Here at Wookiee Poo Studios, yes, you heard that right, Wookiee Poo, we're on a quest more epic than finding the last piece of the map to Luke Skywalker. We're scouring the galaxy for stories about the unsung heroes. You know, the ones who might have been a little blurry in the background of the cantina scene, or those who didn't quite make the cut for a full speaking role.
And let's be honest, we need your stories, because our staff writers are as creatively exhausted as a droid after the Boon to Eve Classic. We're talking more talent in your little finger than in our entire studio. Levels of desperation here.
So unleash your inner George Lucas, or dare we say, a less controversial Rian Johnson, and send us your tales. Make them funny, make them weird, make them so good that even a scruffy-looking nerf herder would shed a tear.
Join us, and together we can rule the podcast galaxy. From a Certain Point of Skew, where your Star Wars fantasies become our next episode's reality.
That's a good ad.
It's great. What's on the show?
I don't remember what it says, but it's a good one. What's on the show? Hey, first of all, I want to give while we're talking to the listeners a little bit, I want to say, hey, shout out if you're a new listener. Stick around, give us a 3-episode challenge. And maybe like within the 3-episode challenge, we do the reviews, but we have episodes where we cover different things. So maybe to give it a good feel, go back and listen to one of the other episodes that's not just a review of the show.
Agreed. Please do.
That's my 2 cents.
We love all the new listeners.
Yeah, and we want to keep building. So you know what? On top of that, tell your friends. Say, hey, this is a cool fucking podcast. And I was thinking about this the other day. Rural Farm Boy, shoot us a voicemail for the next episode, because he listens to every Star Wars podcast. I want to say, like, every podcaster thinks they're unique, right? But we got to have our edge is a little different, I think. From at least the Star Wars podcast that I've listened to, we do a lot of the same things, but I think the way we cover it, or the outlandish, maybe sometimes adult humor, makes it a little bit different than some of the other Star
I
Wars
think
podcasts.
so. We probably lean into that a little bit more than most. I think a lot of them have an element of
Right.
that. I've listened to a number of other shows because I always try to listen to other shows, give them a review and stuff, just to kind of support the other podcasters out there. There's a few shows out there that certainly do stuff like. There's actually several shows with women co-hosts that are actually very similar to our style as far as being a little dirty talk.
Really?
So yeah, so they're
Okay.
those are great ones. I'll have to pass those along to you, but yeah.
Like dirty talk, as in like they're bringing up clans and stuff, or
They're all,
what's
it's
going on
all
here
there's
with our
all
dirty
over
talk?
the board. But I'm just saying I don't think we corner the market necessarily on kind of
Okay.
that what do you want to call it, bathroom humor. I think that it's spread
Right.
across. I just
Yeah.
think that we tend to probably go a little bit maybe further than most, perhaps.
I wasn't certain that we were unique, but I liked living in my ignorance. But now that you've proven me wrong, I guess we'll just tell you what's on the fucking show. On the show today, we've got a question of the week: standing in the way of Rey. In the news, Rogue Squadron back on. Bad Batch episode 6, Infiltration, and 7, Extraction are what we'll be talking about. And 2 emails in the mail bag. Thank you for sending those in. First up, question of the week.
So this tweet sort of blew up. In the end, I think we got like more than 60 responses and like 20 quote tweets and a bunch of side conversations. There were some great ideas in there.
How many of these are the result of me sending that maybe antagonizing tweet about Rey haters?
I don't know. It just seemed to like spiral. Like at first it was a lot of the people that respond to us, pretty regularly. And then all of a sudden it was just like, I don't know. I'm going to read the question here in a second, but I don't want to pay mind to all the bullshit that was thrown out there as well. But I'm going to just touch on some of the answers that are like kind of silly. But then we'll get into the ones that like legit people threw out names and thoughts and stuff like that. We're going to try to read through all those as best we can. And I try to organize the ones that are the good ones as far as like putting them together so we can get through this pretty quick because it's impossible to get through them all. All right, so here was the question. I guess I should know, when you put a picture of Rey out, like you said, you're going to stir up some fucking weird controversy.
Yeah.
So I said casting for the villain in the new Jedi Order film is in the works. Which actor or actress would you most like to see as the foil to Rey? And then I said bonus points for some backstory. So here's some of the shitty posts that just came in. So again, I've said, who's the foil to Rey? Logic. That's one. The audience. All of them. That's another.
Oh, so these aren't on the sheet. These are you're just telling me these. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just telling you these.
Okay.
I won't watch the Rey film. I'd like to see the franchise sold, and maybe it'll be as good as Dune.
Wow.
Here's a good one. I hope they spend $350 million making this movie so I can laugh harder when it fails. Dude.
Like, why do you want it to fail? I mean, if anything, sure, maybe there's a redirection they could take that would make you happy, but I mean, it's not going away.
I know. It doesn't make sense to me why people fall into this camp. I mean, look, we say all the time, there's Star Wars that we're not particularly fond of. We are pretty positive when it comes to Star Wars, but certainly there's some stuff that, I mean, we can talk about Resistance all you want. You hated that show, but it just feels like people are just so out to hate whatever comes out, especially when you strap Daisy Ridley on there, somebody like that.
Who's so goddamn likable. That's the thing.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
A couple more. Somebody said, I would like none of the above. Star Wars was dead after Return of the Jedi. Okay, old guy.
Yeah, no shit.
And finally,
Holy cow.
real talk. Until there's a regime, I can't say that word, change at Lucasfilm, Star Wars is dead. Actual fans with creative talent need to be in charge, not fools with agendas looking to make a name for themselves off the coattails of a famous IP. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
There's a lot there to unpack, but
yes,
I don't think we're going to unpack it today.
I don't think so. But I'm telling you, when you see the notifications just keep firing in, and it's like, oh boy, oh boy. It started out great.
Like a Star Wars like rehab, where like these people can go sit in a circle and talk about what hurt them and maybe get over it.
I mean, you don't have to watch, I guess,
Right.
I don't know.
And I think this really goes back to what we talked about before, was your love of Star Wars happens when you're a kid. So when you grow up, you lose a sense of like that childhood innocence or that creative magic or whatever. And there's some part of some of these people that aren't willing to accept that part. And there's even us when like we watch some of the animated stuff where we're like, that was a little kiddie. But we take it as that's what it is. And we're aware that's what it's supposed to be for.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
and I mean, then you get into that whole element too of people who are just like you joked about in our DM. This is the Disney woke agenda. They're doing this, and this, and it's just it gets out of hand. In fact, there was another one in there that I thought I put it on the list, but it was maybe it's further down. If I don't read it off, I'll give you the gist of it. It was pretty hilarious. Okay. Legit answers for a Padawan of Christ. I like the name. I think any of these could be cool to see. So they got Zoe Saldana, Jennifer Lawrence, Sam Neill, and John Bernthal.
Yes.
You like any of those as a villain?
I don't know if Jennifer Lawrence could pull off a villain. And that's not saying she's not a great actress. She is. But I could see Sam Neill would be a fucking amazing villain. Actually, he's a little too old to take over the Balin role, but he would. I think he could jump into that almost flawlessly. Yeah, and John Bernthal could definitely do that. Oh yeah, but he might be too aggressive. Like he might be. You might actually fear him. Well, or would he be like the right-hand man of the person? Like there's the calculating. He'd be the Darth Maul for the villain, for the Emperor. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, next up is Ro. Says, I would truly finish what Vader started. Do you see that picture of Ro? Yeah, he photoshopped himself in. I don't know who he's supposed to be there, but that's pretty fucking incredible. Did someone draw him? Is he supposed to be like a Thrawn type guy there? Yeah. Well, that or it's been so long, the blue balls went to his head. Next up is Max Rebo Experience. Says, Max Rebo, the survivor of two bomb plots, is an obvious choice. Yes. But I'm going to go with F. Murray Abraham, a former magistrate turned warlord. I imagine a smaller sandbox where a charismatic non-force user with an army of thousands, not billions, takes on a Jedi Order of tens, not thousands. I like the concept of it being a little bit smaller scale. And it would have to be, right? Because everything's been kind of wiped out. Right. I like that idea. I like F. Murray Abraham a lot. He's old as shit, so you better get on that pretty quick. He's like in his, early, mid-80s? Yeah. I mean, didn't he get into a little scandal on the Mythic Quest series? They fired him after the first season. Did they really? So, it wasn't just his character who always says inappropriate stuff on the actual show? He did something that got him in trouble? Yeah, and I think it was just old man being an old man, just saying whatever they want. And, someone was offended by it. I'm not quite sure what it was, but if I recall, it was just him kind of saying shit you probably shouldn't these days. But I don't think it was get over here and let me touch you. But I don't know. Right. But yeah, I do like the idea of an actor of that caliber. But you're right. I think he's too old. I saw him in season 2 of White Lotus, and he kind of plays that guy who's kind of old, doesn't give a fuck. That's right. He's the grandpa. Yeah. Yes. That was a good season. Yeah. I struggle with the White Lotus. It kind of makes me want to go take a shower when I'm done watching. Well, the thing about the White Lotus is you're watching it. I can't remember if it was because I watched the first season just before the second came out, so it kind of all ran together, right? But yeah, you're watching it and you're trying to make what the fuck is the point of the show? Yeah, because it's really there's not a formulaic plot outline. It's just bad people or really just humans doing human things that it could be the gray area, I guess. But so once you get into it a little bit, or at least for me, when I saw what I was watching and figured out what the rules of the series was, I really enjoyed it. It's beautifully shot. They're in, the settings are great, the actors are great. It just kind of feels gross when you get done with it. Yeah. Next up is Seth on the Nile, as in Nihil. So he said, Paul Giamatti is a guy who blames the Jedi for the collapse of his smoked Tiburon sand whale import business. Do you know what the Tiburon thing is? That's the place where Kenobi was working. The whale. Okay. That was that place. Yeah. But you could totally see Giamatti just losing his fucking mind. Yeah, but that's almost like it's comedic. It would have to be based around him. Yeah. But he has to play pig vomit from the Private Party. Right. He could be that character. You either do that or he could even just be the angry, kind of bitter guy from Sideways who's just everybody just gets on his tits. You know what I mean? That would work. Yes. Next up is Penny Bloom. The Penny Bloom podcast says, had this thought the other day, Alexandra Shipp. Who is Alexandra Shipp? I didn't have a chance to look that up. I want to say she was She was in the X-Men, the first class, I think, right?
She was in Barbie.
Okay. Who wasn't, though?
True. She was in X-Men Apocalypse. She was in the X-Men. She was Storm.
Yeah, she was the younger Storm. So she was it Apocalypse? So she came over from first class as well, I think.
It may have been.
I'm trying to remember if that was her or not. It's been years since I've seen that, but I've seen her in a few things. They want her as the villain.
Yes, these are all the villains, I think. I think everybody took it that way.
Okay.
Ash Rendar posted a picture of Dark Helmet. Could you imagine if they brought Rick Moranis back? Just for the reaction.
But he plays it serious.
Yeah.
Like it's like that. It's like even maybe there's a line of dialogue that leads you to believe that they do the multiverse thing. So he's Dark Helmet from another universe.
Sure.
But he's had 30 years of fucking we're at now, and he's just so agitated. He's actually evil.
Yeah.
We ain't found shit.
You're expecting comedy and don't get it.
Right.
Got a few here that are kind of the same. So Garrick says Daisy Ridley and has got that shot that we saw, that little teaser with the double red blade.
Dark Ray.
Yeah, Delaney King says Ray. General Ahsoka Tano says Ray's the villain. Darth Mayhem says me as Dark Ray. Me as Dark Ray. They're casting themselves. That's funny. Next up is Amando has no name. Anakin returns somehow and is the good guy. Rey has fallen to the dark side since she is somehow a Palpatine. Oh, little flipperoo.
Well, this could be the whole clone thing comes back. I would like to see some version of Anakin returning.
Yeah, that's tough to wedge in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, you're starting to get into multiverse stuff, I think, there. Adelphi Rangers NRSF. I'm at a loss as to how Grand Admiral Carson Teva finds a way to raise an army after being disgraced by the New Republic, and why the annihilation of Hosnian Prime didn't sate his anger. But I'm telling you, it will happen, and the New Republic will pay the price.
Wow.
That's a good one. I like when people come up with random names that somebody else does as well. So Nate abandoned Snoopy in the vestibule. That's a wonderful name. Bill Skarsgård. As the scion of a wealthy family, the bankrolled the First Order and has ties and relics from the multiple dark side religions. And then says Fade Rotha meets Bruce Wayne. Fade Rotha is the kind of loose cannon baddie in Dune, right? The guy that Sting played in the original.
Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elvis played him in Dune 2. I'm losing his name right now.
Butler. Austin Butler.
Austin Butler, yeah.
See? Sometimes we remember shit.
Yep.
Similarly, my father's bastard, great name, says, screw it. Bring in a clone of Palpatine, but young and played by, I don't know, Bill Skarsgård or something. So see, some people are of like mind on this. They want Bill Skarsgård.
Well, Bill Skarsgård, he could play a damn good villain, and we know that. Actually isn't a bad deal. I think it would be interesting one way is like, oh, it finally worked, right? There is a clone of Palpatine. It worked, so I could see that. And it kind of fits thematically. But do the audience just complain that it's just more of the same? Which is like it's a kick in the ass either way, right? If you do something different, you're pissing people off because you're not paying tribute.
That's not Star Wars,
or whatever, right? Yeah, so you can't win for trying. But I don't think I would be upset. It'd have to be like, even if he was like, well, okay, so would he be tortured with the idea that he's a Palpatine clone, or would he be just fucking starting out dark and sinister right away? Because I like the idea of Rey kind of being tortured about the whole thing.
So you think she's this pure, good, light side person despite where she came from, but really deep down it's eating at her. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just the idea or the knowledge of actually knowing where she came from is, and like we talked about, I think when I came up with one of the ideas for the sequel was the fact that, the villain is actually not so much a villain, but is aware that she is a Palpatine, so looks at her as a villain and comes after her.
Ah, okay. And she's like, no, I'm a Skywalker. And they're like,
yeah, I'm really, yeah, but are you? Yeah. Your blood runs dark. Yeah. But I like the Skarsgård stuff.
But she's going to need therapy.
Yeah, really. She needs to go into that room on Palpatine, on Coruscant, and talk to that robot.
Yeah, that's right. Have you had any feelings, any angry feelings? Jocelyn is Dune posting is the next one. Before Matt Smith was supposedly Palpatine in some deleted scenes from The Rise of Skywalker, I always thought he would make a good villain for Star Wars. I imagined him in makeup / prosthetics, similar to the engineers in Prometheus before Austin Butler, and Dune was basically the same design I had in mind. So there's your Austin Butler.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, the Matt Smith one was a fun rumor for quite a while.
He never shot scenes though, right?
I think he never got to that point. I think he was in discussions and they never actually shot anything. Bastille, I think is how you say that. Tom Hardy or Natalie Dormer. Who's Natalie Dormer?
Natalie Dormer is the really sexy blonde from Game of Thrones.
Ah,
she's the gif of her eating an apple in a hammock.
Okay.
Right? Is that her?
You might be right. I'm not remembering that one, but that makes sense. I mean, you can borrow a lot from Game of Thrones casting to bring into the mix. You know, there's quite a wealth.
I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen Pedro Pascal in Star Wars yet.
Yeah, when's he going to show up? Jared the Dark Jedi says, I've been cooking this for a video essay, and Okie Fan 327 dropped a great bomb on me for some amazing casting. Okay, so this is Rami Malek. What is that character? Do you recognize that character? It's like they're wielding a light side and a dark side saber. I don't know who that is.
We've talked about this character at one point. He was in the comics, right?
Okay, it must be.
God, this was probably fucking 100 episodes ago. This might be the one that we brought up where he was like, he wasn't considered gray, but he was like both sides or something.
Not a Darth or something, but some other character that was a tweener.
Sure, we'll call him a tweener. I'd look it up right now, but we're best when we don't know.
And we got to cruise through all these, you know. I like the concept. I like Rami Malek. I'd be cool with him having a role somewhere. He can do some pretty dark shit. I like that.
He was good in the last Bond movie.
Yes, true. Looking real nasty.
Yeah.
Halftone says Emily Blunt is Ventress. Ooh, live action Asajj. You think we'll ever get live action Asajj?
I wouldn't be surprised. Although it would have to be like an older woman, right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. What project would she fit into? Nothing we know already?
Right, because I mean, we're gonna see her in the Bad Batch, but if you're gonna throw her, yeah. Otherwise, if they do anything live action that takes place in this time, like another Obi-Wan, or we don't know where Rogue Squadron is gonna take place, but I doubt we're gonna see fucking Jedis in that. But I was thinking because we know either Mandalorian movie or the Rey movie, like they would have to be an older version of Asajj Ventress.
I think you're right. I think it's Obi-Wan season 2. That's where you would put her.
Yeah,
that's the one that would make the most sense.
And we find out they became lovers.
Oh man, or at least had a fling. Oh, well, no, because this would be later. I was gonna say Satine walking in on Ventress and Kenobi going at it. Oh boy, sparks fly.
Maybe her spirit's there and she's not happy. He's like, now you come back? I've got needs.
Yeah, exactly. I have physical needs. Then Victoria Cole says, who would I like to see? Emily Blunt. But Lucasfilm is not going to open up the checkbook to hire her, and there is a danger of her overshadowing Rey. Oh. Damian Lewis is another choice. Ooh. I like Damian Lewis.
Yeah, he'd be good.
I don't know if I'd do him as the villain, though. You do him as the villain? Was he a bad guy in like that Billions show and stuff? I don't know. I didn't see that.
I didn't watch Billions. I've been looking at that, and I know it's ending, and I really like Succession, or as Bert Kreischer calls it, Secession.
Secession.
So I'm going to go into that, but he was good in, what's that show, Life, that he had?
He was great in Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers.
And then he was in Homeland.
Right, which I haven't seen that either, just bits and pieces of. But yeah, he's a damn good actor. He could pull off a villain for sure, but he, like Birth and all, I think he'd be the guy that, even so, I'd like to see him play kind of like he's bad, but maybe for a purpose. Kind of like the Balin Skull, right? We don't really know what's going on there, so we're taking him as a villain.
Not truly evil.
Right.
199 the podcast says, if they're going to call it New Jedi Order, I hope the villains are I don't know how to say this, Yuzan Vong. So are you familiar with this? Because the next person says something similar. So Mr. J86 also says, personally, I'd love to get the Yuzan Vong. I think Dave Bautista would be perfect for a leader/general in the ranks. So I looked these dudes up. They're like some sort of religious zealots that invade from another galaxy and just decimate populations, I guess.
Isn't this the story? Was this something that was in one of the comics, or I thought this was what has to do with Thrawn?
I think you might be right. I think they attacked the cheese.
Right, the cheese.
I'm saying cheese. They attacked the blue cheese.
Yep.
It's funny though, because the last one, Mr. J86 put this out there, And him and somebody else, I think it was the Victoria gal, went back and forth on if that's legit or not, like if they should do that. This whole conversation sparked. They just kept firing back and forth at each other.
Nice.
A lot of conversations here. Firebrand says Anakin, Leia, and Luke to take back their name.
Man.
See, as far as like the shit posting stuff that people are doing, where they're they're just wanting to shit on it. Like if it's got a little bit of humor in it, I'm good with it. Like that was kind of funny.
That's funny. I saw someone post the other day. Leia's last name can be
Organa.
Fucking Organa. Then Rey can be Skywalker. I was like, well, I guess if you point one to the other, that works. Yeah.
Sure. It's some people just had a lot of beef with that at the end. They got real pissed off.
Don't like metaphors.
I guess not. JC says Christopher Waltz. Not sure what the backstory is. Shannon Peacock also says Christoph Waltz. Sorry.
Good actor.
Yeah, good actor. That's a big role. Mallow, the DC multiverse historian, says Ryan Johnson, of course. Now that's funny. Brian Auer says, I would like a female baddie, maybe like the Night Sisters Reborn, which kind of goes along with Frankie Magic, who says Grace Park is a rogue Night Sister.
Grace Park.
Who's Grace Park?
Oh, wait. Okay, Grace Park is, I'm thinking, was she Hawaii 5-0 in Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, I think you're right. Yes, you're right. Good job.
Okay. I was thinking Grace, what's her name from Conan the Barbarian?
Grace Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That would be amazing.
What's the movie? Is it Boomerang where she gives birth to the perfume?
That's right. I forgot she was in Boomerang. Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
That's good stuff. Next is Wax On, Wax Off news. They say there's been rumors Angela Bassett met with Lucasfilm as Ray Sloan. And then also said, I'm also pretty sure Idris was rumored once, so I'm saying him too. We talked about those on the show.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Would welcome both.
Wasn't it originally, wasn't Idris Elba attached to Lindelof's script right when he went in there? His idea?
Had somebody in mind, and I don't know if they confirmed it was him, but he had a villain in mind.
Okay.
So it could have been. I'm not sure if it was exactly him. I don't know if they confirmed that. Michael E. Carter says, we really should have let Leonard Nimoy play a Jedi when we had the chance.
That is illogical.
Funny. That is illogical. Ian Nathaniel Cohen says, Tony Jaa is a Force-sensitive bounty hunter who thinks taking out Rey will make his rep and be good for business. Tony Jaa. See, I have to look up these people. I should have done this in advance.
That would be an ass whooping. He does those, what are they, Ong?
Yeah, Ong Bak or Ong Bak.
Yeah. There's like 3 of them, right?
And he was in Expendables.
Yep.
Oh, so he's just like a fucking major action star.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing.
Like martial artist. Okay.
Yep.
I'm always good with martial arts. Like, I think that's one of the cool things that we get. Having read science fiction books when growing up, there was always a lot of martial arts action in those. That's why it was cool when like in the original Total Recall, when Sharon Stone and what's her face just start like hammering each other and like are kicking each other around. I was like, perfect. This is exactly what science fiction books are, is this action, So I would love to see that. Next up is an interesting one. Kevin Skinner, Sigourney Weaver with Maggie Q as her apprentice. Wow. I like that. I love Sigourney Weaver. And Maggie Q, I always think of Maggie Q from, what was that show with Kiefer Sutherland? Designated Survivor.
Oh,
She was a fucking one-woman wrecking crew.
Okay. I only saw a couple episodes of that. Was that any good? Didn't Netflix end up picking that up to finish it off or something?
I feel like they did, and they were going to go further, but they didn't finish it off. But so I watched it because the premise and the opening, the pilot episode was really interesting. And I like Kiefer. And so we got into it. And then it was one of those where I'm not sure if it was a really good show or if we were just like, we got to keep watching. Like, we're invested. You know what I mean? You know how that happens sometimes where you feel like you just got to keep going? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you go in thinking you're getting 24. It gets a little mediocre.
Right.
And she just did a movie with Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye and Casino Royale.
Oh, cool.
What was it? Was it I don't remember.
The Protege?
She was like the Protege. I think Michael Keaton was in it.
Yes. Samuel Jackson.
Yes.
Robert Patrick. Love Robert Patrick.
I've heard good things.
Another one to check out. G-Dub says, I think with Palpatine gone, there is a race to fill the power vacuum left in the galaxy. Rey's order splits on how to handle it. A side of the Order believes they should stick to being the galaxy's peacekeepers, while a side says the galaxy's failing. The Jedi need to control it, and a power unlike anything we've seen grows as the Order bickers on how to solve it. So infighting in the Order,
the evil is born from within.
Correct, because there's no yang to the yin, so they've got to.
That's interesting.
I do like that concept. Good job, G-Dub.
I mean, come on, let's be real. There's got to be some. If there's some Jedis that stuck around after Order 66 and they're surviving this long, or even ones we're not aware of, and then Rey's what she is now, there's got to be that side, the dark side as well. Maybe not Sith.
Well, yeah. Also, those people who are just like, I've seen how this plays out before. Mm-hmm. So, like, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna go along with the bullshit Jedi Order the way it.
Right.
I could see that friction happening. That would be interesting though, because it'd be like the first 30 minutes of the movie, everything's fine, everything's harmonious, and then all of a sudden shit starts dwelling. And ready for a Palpatine run? Here we go. Wade from Records of the Republic says, "Let's run it back," and it's the somehow Palpatine return picture. Crispin Burke, same thing. Mile, Dial for Destiny, same thing. And then Blue Soka says, Ian is Palps. Might as well keep it going. Peter Blake, somehow Palpatine returns. There's just a run of them.
What if all the stuff they're doing in The Mandalorian, even the backstory to the Bad Batch, we think is actually filling in the holes to the sequels, but it's actually creating whatever's going to happen in the next Rey movie?
Oh my God. People lose their minds.
Yeah.
He can't come back. It's got to be done.
Can't he?
Twiggy mixed up Whizzle.
There's more. Oh my God.
Oh, dude, we're almost done. I vote for Geode. You know who Geode is? Geode is that rock.
No.
I haven't read this, but in the High Republic, there's like a rock that's like an actual being of some sort. I don't know the whole story behind it, but it's literally a rock.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a sentient rock.
Exactly.
Okay.
Steve posts a picture with I Will, and it's Carl Urban. I think we've talked about Carl Urban as a possible Balin.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he's great. I like Carl Urban. All right, next up, Dr. Luke Truxell says, Callum, well, it's a picture of Callum Turner from Masters of the Air. Have you seen that Masters of the Air show?
I haven't watched it yet, but it looks excellent.
It's supposed to be good. Austin Butler again.
Yep. You know what it is? It's like, I don't want to like Austin Butler, but the fucker is showing up in everything now. So it's like, and this looks good. And to be fair, like everything he's done, I've seen, he's good in. But it's like one of those actors. I don't know. Sometimes I just get like this vibe from someone. I'm like, fucking, you annoy me. But
does he have a punchable face?
On Twitter, he's been doing the shooting range, like the same range. I think it's the same range that Keanu Reeves was practicing for John Wick. And they're speculated that he's going to play Val Kilmer's role in Heat 2.
Oh.
And then I'm like, now I gotta fucking like him.
Wow. Okay. I forgot they're trying to do that sequel, which is hilarious 100 years later.
Well, they did the book, and the book was like a prequel sequel. Like there's half of it takes place before Heat, and then the other half is years later after them. I've not read the book yet, but I've heard it's really good.
They're doing the Godfather 2 thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Mann's always good. I always like Michael Mann movies. Mm-hmm. This one's interesting. The Truth Within says, retired Grand Admiral Livius. Now, I looked this person up. I don't think this name exists, but maybe it does, and I just couldn't find it. Okay. 9 years after the last Jedi, grief-stricken Rey/son, against all odds, makes allies with other clones of the failed Necromancer project.
Wow.
Creating a new order, Livius made it his life mission to stop this, for they have other plans. And it's a picture of Jack Nicholson. Could you imagine Jack Nicholson in Star Wars? Holy shit.
Man.
Chewing the scenery all over the fucking place.
I mean, sometimes he's so silly, like, or some of the stuff you see now, it plays sillier than I guess it was in the moment. But when he does like dark villain, man, the Departed. I mean, you couldn't. I could see him, but he's not the type of actor that would like fit well. I don't think in the Star Wars universe.
I don't think he would at all.
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine him doing a role like that. The next one is, I don't know if that's Z-Ed or Zed. And this is like a Norm Macdonald shout out. It says, "You guessed it," and it's a picture of Frank Stallone. Do you remember how Norm Macdonald would do that on Update? He'd always be like setting up some story. He'd be like, "And who was it? You guessed it, Frank Stallone, Sylvester's brother."
I don't remember that.
Oh fuck! Always he would do that. Dan Trop says Keanu Reeves. Of course, everybody's wanting him to show up. People think he's going to show up in The Acolyte.
Yep.
You know?
I just don't see Keanu showing up in the streaming series.
I don't either. He's in a movie if he's in anything.
Yeah.
I agree. Richard Hercher says more than one. So more than one villain. The OT gave us Vader, Palps, Jabba, Tarkin, Boba Fett, and teased us with Lando and a cast of cads. Let's do that again. I kind of want the baby head spider thing to come back. What the fuck is that thing?
Yeah, that's from the original Rise of Sky, whatever the Rise of Skywalker would have been, right? I think that was Colin Trevorrow's script. I think that was in.
Gotcha. That thing is crazy looking. Your mom, that's rude, says Kate Blanchett as Abeloth. Set it up in Ahsoka season 2.
Yeah.
Abeloth. I know that name. What is that name?
Abeloth is the mother to the Trinity of Father, Son, and daughter. Well, she takes care of them and becomes like a mother figure.
Do you bring Kate Blanchett in there, or do you save her to do Satine someday? Because she really is Satine. Satine Kryze.
Right. I'm fine with either. I wouldn't argue with either, but I could see I can see Kate Blanchett coming to do that in Ahsoka, because that character would likely continue on and be in movies as well. You know,
sure.
So her time.
Just a
but then again, does she want to sign a 9-movie Marvel contract for Star Wars? So
yeah, you don't see a lot of people doing that. And finally, Ray Gun Richards says this lady, and it's Sydney Sweeney.
and funny, all she can wear is the Slave Leia costume. I said it.
That's
I'm
right.
not taking it back.
I think a lot of people would be on board for that. All right, news. Rogue Squadron back on. Patty Jenkins was recently on a podcast and was asked about Rogue Squadron, a project that seemingly went away in the fallout of the Wonder Woman 2 kind of turd burger that movie was. At least that's how I felt. I did not like that movie very much. Well, the first one I thought was good. The second one I was like, it just didn't hit.
Yes.
I don't know what it was. She said, quote, when Wonder Woman 3 went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, we got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning. So I now owe a draft of Star Wars. We will see what happens there. They have a hard job in front of them of what's the first movie they're going to do. They have other directors who have been working, but I'm now back doing Rogue Squadron.
I'm all right with this.
Didn't we kind of feel like that was dead in the water?
Well, I think last they said it wasn't like definite, like permanent, right? It was just they didn't know what they were going to do, or if it was someone else was going to carry that on, I think is what we were led to believe. So this doesn't surprise me, but I think the announcement of it, or I guess because she said it on a podcast, so it wasn't like Lucasfilm announced it, but it does seem like it came out of nowhere.
Do you feel like that somebody says that on a podcast like that, and all of a sudden their phone starts ringing, and they're like, hi, this is Lucasfilm. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Or maybe this is also like a director like, all right, we need to push this a little quicker. Let's put it out and see if the audience is like, yeah, we need to see this.
Yeah, that's a good floating that balloon.
It's the old
out there.
Ryan Reynolds leaking the Deadpool video that he says he didn't leak.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's an accident. Yeah, I do recall Kathleen Kennedy saying that the project wasn't abandoned, but was just like wasn't happening at the moment, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I guess what I missed is something she said at Celebration last year. I don't remember this. She said at the time, Lando is still on the books and Rogue Squadron is still on the books. We just want them to be great. I remember her saying that about Lando. I don't remember her saying that about Rogue Squadron. But she said that a year ago.
I don't remember.
Well, we'll see. I like the concept, so I'm game. You know, that little teaser trailer she did a long time ago, and just the idea of having like a full-on like X-Wing style.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
I'd be all right with it.
Yeah, I think I know who Adelphi Rangers wants to have in that show. If there's some way they can work him in.
Like he's already probably stalking Perkins or Jenkins, Patty Jenkins. Yeah, like
Patty
hey,
Jenkins.
I know who could be in it. Yeah,
Jaddy Perkins.
Jaddy Perkins.
All right, let's talk Bad Batch. So just a couple thoughts off the top. One is, boy, do we get a whole lot of clones to check off our bingo card this week. It is fucking Clone City.
Whew. You know what? It's almost, I was like pulling from dead brain cells. There's so much there. I'm like, oh, I gotta like really pull in some recall here, because a lot of there's moments of this or characters or settings that pull from completely different series.
Yes, it goes real deep. And then also there's some where you're like, this name gets thrown out and you're like, do we know that guy? And then you look up and you're like, oh no, that's just a new guy now. Like some of them are more current, but They really try to tie this all together really interestingly, and we'll get into that in a minute when we talk about like where their base is and stuff and how that goes back to the beginning of Clone Wars. I do also appreciate that Crosshair continues on his 12-step program, or you could say
it is
12 clone program of going through and apologizing to all these different
people.
All the wrongs. Yeah, it kind of is. So we open on Pantora. We've been there before, speaking of bringing it around. And Rex is there leading Senator Singh, who we saw back in season 1 or 2. They rescued him. He was also from the Clone Wars. He was a separatist.
I think it was season 1, right?
Season 1? Okay. Yeah, they did like a mission for Sid, I think, to go get him. And they were kind of conflicted. Like, why are we going to save a separatist? I don't get this.
Yes. Yeah. Hunter like throws the puck back or something. He's like, no, I'm not doing this one.
Right.
Yep.
So Singh, they kind of get him under the cover of night to the secret meeting, and they walk in, and who do they see but Chuchi? Chuchi's back. We kind of thought we might see her again.
Right.
And they're clearly trying to get Singh on board with like organizing, being a part of this rebellion they're starting to organize. This is very early days. And I think what we saw last season with Chuchi was, I think Bail talks to her at one point and kind of floats that out there. So
correct.
So she's in early days adopter.
And that was just
rebellion.
before she goes into the Senate and tries to bust out. Like she's got proof that they shot down
Camino.
Whatever seat. Yeah, Camino. And then the Emperor turns it around on her, and then she's almost assassinated. And that's the first time we see one of the assassin.
Yes, there's that piece. I'm trying to remember the timing of that, but when she does that in the Senate, he flips it onto Rampart. Remember, he kind of takes it and goes like, "Oh yeah, that's all Rampart's fault," and then they arrest him.
I mean, he does what he wants. He just does it a different way.
Yeah, sure, right. Not only is Rex there, but so is our guy Howzer with the great hair.
Yep.
And who we saw in the Ryloth arc back with little Hera. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. That was Bad Batch season 1 as well, right?
I think it must have been season 1. I get them so confused, the two seasons. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it is season 1. One of those shadow troopers is lurking, trying to find them and kill somebody, it appears, probably the senators. Sneaks into Pantora, nearly gets a chance to take a shot at the senators, but Rex figures it out because somebody alerts him. Does a nice little toss back of the thermal detonator, which is kind of a cool little move. He's still got it. Rex has still got it.
Yeah, he's the man.
So they pursue the trooper and eventually stun him, take him prisoner. And then on the way back to headquarters, we learn that they've recovered a data puck off the trooper, but it's encrypted. So they're going to have to take it back to Fireball to decrypt it. So now we get back to this monastery on Teth, which is going way back to basically the Clone Wars animated movie.
From the movie?
Yes.
It's where they take fucking Pukey,
Stinky.
or what's his fucking name? Stinky.
Yeah. Jabba's son. And that's Asajj, right? So that's it's all coming together nicely.
Yeah.
Asajj is the one who takes him. So
that was a hard, when I saw that was one of those things I was like, okay, I know we've seen this before, and I'm trying to pull. I had to look that one up because I was like, I know this is something, but goddamn, that was so long ago.
It has a similar structure because it looks a lot like Jabba's palace because it's similar. It's one of those monasteries. I can't remember the name of those people that put their brain and the spider and all that shit.
And the spiders. Yeah. Yep.
So Howzer has removed the Shadow Trooper's tooth cyanide device. The bite
no bite
down.
For you.
So he can't kill himself. He also notices that he's wiped his identification. So this guy's basically got no prints.
Right.
When he comes to, Rex tries to kind of reason with him because Rex is, he's all about that clone brotherhood. He is a big. He wants all the clones back together. It doesn't matter what they've done and where they went, where they've been. He wants them all together. But so far, kind of mom's the word from the trooper. So then Rex is asking, where he's operating out of. He says Coruscant, Daro, and then he says Tantus, and the guy's like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, we know about Tantus,
he gives a look,
motherfucker."
Yeah. You didn't think we knew, did you? But we know.
We know.
Where is it? Oh.
But I love it because he won't talk. So Howzer's basically like, we should probably waterboard this guy. And of course, Rex is not going to go for that. Just then, Rex is informed that the puck the guy had shows he was after not only Senator Singh, but Omega.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ruh-roh. And this is kind of our first sign of just how much of a hard-on Howzer has for Crosshair. He is very upset about what happened on Ryloth when Crosshair kind of fucked him.
Because to connect the tissues, Howzer, right? He was on Ryloth, and then he ends up getting arrested
He was kind of like the head trooper. He and Cham Syndulla, Hera's dad, were homies.
Yes.
And then when all the shit went pear-shaped, he was kind of like conflicted about it, and then he decided to kind of take a stand because clearly the inhibitor chip wasn't working on him. Mm-hmm. And that's when he gets arrested. Yes, you're right. And then they later bust him out. They later go bust him out.
Right.
Like they steal him off of a ship or something like that.
Likely he was going to end up on Tanis then.
I would think so, yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of Tanis, back on Tanis, we see this meeting between Scorch, that's that clone commando.
Yep.
And a hollow of another shadow trooper. I'm going to call them shadow troopers or operatives. I'm going to mix and match because I don't know what the hell to call them.
I'm happy with either.
The trooper asks, why have I been activated? That's kind of weird.
Right.
And Scorch is like, you got to go track down this other shadow clone and kill him because he's been compromised. And so this latest operative, we can kind of get into this more when we get to the second episode and beyond, because there are a lot of theories on that particular operative and who it might be.
So do they have are you thinking there's only one activated at a time? Because I'm thinking the one that we saw at the beginning that's captured was the one that we saw give Crosshair the look a few episodes ago on Tanis. Remember when they kind of looked at each other?
Oh, yes. I see what you're saying. He was the one that had his helmet on at the time and looked at him. It could be. Yeah. Why would they only operate one at a time, though?
I mean, how many assassins do they need,
Is it like a Disney park? When one leaves, they have to have another one come in? They can't have two at the same time.
The other one comes out? Yeah.
Yeah. So on the ship with the batch, the familial love triangle with Hunter, Omega, and Crosshair continues. She's working that toothpick.
Oh, yeah.
She's very enamored with Crosshair at the moment. She's like looking up to him.
And Hunter's like, you used to look at me like that.
Yes. Hunter's very uneasy about this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
So they receive word from Rex to hightail it to their base. So Echo's rendezvous with Gregor, another name from the past and the future, will have to wait. By the way, a side note here on Rex. I guess it looked like this before, and maybe it's the lighting, but the way they show him, I'm like, does he have blonde hair roots? It almost looks like got blonde.
Yeah.
I guess it's just shaved, and it's just the way it looks in that light, but it literally looked like he had blonde hair, shaved down.
I thought that's what it was, like a little bit of stubble.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I've never seen that before like that.
Thought he was frosting his tips or something.
Could have been. The batch are dropped off by Echo, and Howzer immediately goes in on Crosshair, just reminding him, I haven't forgot about Ryloth, bitch, and we're gonna wrestle
tonight.
Yeah, shit's
like
gonna happen.
Men. Clothes are coming off,
oiled like men.
Yeah.
Oh, and Echo gives Omega a little gift, a little energy crossbow. Which this is the thing that was in the poster you were pointing out to me, that the
right
stock part of it looks like Boba Fett's gun.
Yeah. Now, did you catch the way he said, I've run into some interesting people?
Yes.
And acquired this for you or something, he said. So that was kind of to me, that's like, oh, we're going to go back to this, I think.
I think you're right. It was a weird thing to throw out for no reason.
Right.
And then the Shadow Trooper operative, again, whatever you want to call him, the new one, lands on the same planet, scouts out the clone base, heads up there. Rex is explaining to them,
should we just call him Tech 2.0?
Tech 2? Oh, see, you think it's Tech, huh?
I don't, but
okay.
There's a lot of people that are, so we'll name them. Do. Yeah,
Tech
we'll
2.
Name them Dark Tech.
Dark Tech. We'll call Dark Tech for now.
Okay.
So Rex just keeps explaining, hey, listen, we're going to Tanis and we're getting all our clone brothers. That is his whole mission in life.
Right.
And that's clearly what we're going to see, I think, at the end.
Omega's like, I'm on board with this guy.
She says it later, and he's like, fuck yeah, we're going. He's like, yeah, you get it, fist bump.
They stay up late, hatching a plan.
I know. Hopefully we get some massive 1 hour finale where that's going to happen, because it's got to happen.
Yeah.
Howzer's questioning why Omega's being targeted but not Crosshair. So he's basically saying you're a plant. You're feeding them information. Yeah. Crosshair explains that he's got no loyalty for the Empire. And right then Omega walks in and she's basically what's going on? Crosshair's like, oh, the Emperor's trying to kill you. Just no protection. I mean, I know she's experienced now. She's been through a lot, but I just love how he's the Emperor's trying to kill you again. Oh, thanks. Way to make her feel good. She'll sleep well tonight. Right. So then Omega shares how they're asking her for details. Rex is about what do you know from Tantus? And she says, they were using me to push Nala Se to do more experiments. And they kept talking about M counts. He's like, M counts. I know that, but I don't know exactly what that is. You were homies with the M count guy, Rex.
Yeah.
So finally Crosshair comes clean. Which I thought was interesting. Like, he just offers it up. He's like, okay, you got to know more. I got to give you more information. So he's been holding something back. And he explains that there are some clones on Tantus that are there, not as prisoners, but kind of their own free will. And there's this secret program under Hemlock where they're basically being made into special forces. And they get their identities erased. They're trained to be, these killers. And Crosshair says, they tried to make me one, but I'm like essentially defected. So I didn't.
Right. I think that's where the glitch is coming from.
Yeah, I think you're right. The hand.
Right.
Yeah. When Crosshair finds out that they've captured an operative, another one, he's like, we're fucked. They're tracking him.
Yeah.
So he's clearly, and you're meant to believe he's nervous, like something's going to be revealed about him as well. There's that piece of it, but the other piece I think is just that he knows what they're capable of and what it means.
That's how I took it. Was he knew like there was somebody already coming.
Right. So let's talk about the security on this base because it's absolute shit. I mean, that new operative just dances right through everybody. At one point, literally walks into the room they're all in.
Right. Yeah.
They don't
they're
see
like
this?
they're miserable or kicked back enjoying a little bit of soup or whatever, and he's like, it's like fucking Bugs Bunny sneaking into the room.
Totally.
I was like, come on. And then even the only thing is Batcher, but Batcher's so like, oh, more food, but he's the only one that kind of suspects something.
Yeah, he sniffs them out a little bit. But it's like, do they just feel like nobody knows they're there so they don't have to be quiet? I mean, they've got guards walking around, but they just don't pick up anything.
I think so. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the guy goes and Dark Tech plants bombs on the ships and all that stuff, sneaks into the main room, notices that it's Omega. So he goes outside and sends this message to Scorch where he's like, she's here. Like, the target's here. And they just have to keep reminding him, don't kill her. So they're going to send in a strike team to capture her. So in the meantime, the captured operative is like, sees Crosshair walk in the room. He's like, oh, shit, right. This guy? And he's like, why aren't you questioning him? Right, brother? And Crosshair looks just shook as shit. And that's when he's like, he's very nervous and wants them to get this guy out of there, at least get them out of there. And then that's when the ships start blowing up. And the new operative goes kind of back inside, cuts off their comms, and he takes out the captured operative with just like, they barely open the door. Bam, chest shot.
Yeah.
Dead.
Right, chest shot.
So this dude clearly has advanced skills. Very, very, sharpshooter, obviously stealth. We'll give them credit.
Do you think, like, maybe they couldn't get Crosshair to be one, but when they were taking blood, because he's a sniper. So right. Are they, like, injecting these people with, like, that DNA or that, whatever? They're, like, basically... What is that what's his face is trying to do in Mandalorian?
Cloning?
Where he's like, well, not the cloning, but he wants the splicing.
Right? Oh, I see. Yes,
but you can't technically. I guess you can't splice to a grown adult, so I don't know how it would work.
That's one of like the three theories. Is that these are
okay?
They've taken some of Crosshair's DNA as an enhanced clone to try to put it in these other people. Put them through this program, and that's why they have advanced skills. That's certainly one of them. I think that's a good theory.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're pinned down by this operative, and Fireball grabs a flamethrower and just bum rushes the guy and gets shot, drops the flamethrower, and it fucking ignites a bunch of thermal detonators, and the whole fucking place blows up. But it looks like the guy gets buried, Dark Tech.
Yes.
At the moment. And then that's when we see like the two troop transports fly in, and that's where it's Wolf. Plo Koon's guy, Wolf.
That's who it, yes. Plo Koon.
And we know we're going to see him down the line because he ends up hanging with Gregor and Rex in Rebels.
Yes. Yeah, they're the three old men living out on the desert.
Yeah, because otherwise I would think he's probably going to die, given what happens at the end of episode 7, but we know he makes it. So that's the end of episode 6. Oopsie. Had a bit of an audio gaffe this week, and unfortunately... Jay's audio cut out at this point, so we lost all of episode 7, the review, plus all our mailbag emails and the outro. So unless you just want to hear a one-sided back half of the episode with yours truly, I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it short this week. Maybe we'll make that audio available on our Patreon. Just kidding. We are nearly organized enough to have a Patreon. Anyway, we talked about redoing our episode 7 review the next time we record, but that isn't until late next week. Because I'm on vacation, so we are already going to review episodes 8 and 9 together when we come back. So if you want the Cliff Notes version of what you missed, we got into the 3 theories on dark tech, whether it's reprogrammed Cody, very doubtful. A reprogrammed tech, not buying it, or maybe these Shadow Troopers have some sort of DNA from Crosshair that makes them enhanced, and that's why Crosshair struggled in that Black Panther top of the waterfall fight. He was just fighting himself to a degree. I mean, did you see the Shadow Troopers shoot down the escape ship's engine, just like Crosshair does to the Imperial shuttle a few moments later? Same playbook, maybe. We also got into what we think is coming next in bad territory. Maybe it's time for the bounty hunters? Come on, Embo. We also speculated about where this new clone army that Rex is building is going to move their headquarters to, since their old one is destroyed. Maybe Pabu, at least for the short term. Oh, and hey, Rex, maybe beef up the security this time so you don't get sabotaged by one dude sneaking around. Just a thought. We had a couple Mailbag emails as well. Sorry, apologies to Max Rebo. Maybe I'll bring those back to our next recording and we can revisit. You get your entries, though. Don't worry. Anyway, that's about it. So,
thank you for listening. Until next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We have spoken.